Oh, are we going?
Yeah.
We're going. And just like that, no prep.
Who needs prep?
Who does?
So how you been?
Pretty good. When was when I see you last Wednesday?
Yeah.
Well, what's new with you?
Well, nothing.
Nothing.
Just going to work, going home, hanging out with the girlfriend.
Life.
Yeah.
Did you guys get any progress done?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Some.
Some?
Not a whole lot. It's just one night. You don't want to spend the whole, whenever you don't see each other, but once a week, you don't want to spend the whole time doing work. You got to have some quality time hanging
Sure.
out, watching TV, things like that. Had a good time hanging out with you on Wednesday, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I noticed something, and I know we've been doing these conversation-based podcasts for a while now, but you didn't dominate the conversation. Instead, you let it.
When? On Wednesday?
Between me, you, and everybody at the table.
Okay.
And after the tattoo got done. But while we were talking, I noticed several times sorry I interrupted.
Oh, yeah.
And I noticed, and then also whenever somebody else was talking, if I would chime up or he would chime up in the middle of somebody else, you'd look at that person and go, wait. And what were you saying? And then
I don't remember that.
there's also times whenever somebody's asking you something, you have the courtesy to repeat the question to make sure you got it correct. Those are all great conversational skills that neither one of us had a year ago.
Yeah.
Whereas used to interruptions would happen, cross table talk would happen, and you would go off on tangents and forget about the conversation you actually started with. And then the person who was trying to make a point feels like they are passed over.
Yeah.
It's improved. Our conversation skills have improved to where it doesn't feel that way anymore.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. Like, I feel
Yeah.
bad. Like when we had JR here, I just feel like I didn't let him talk at all.
Yeah.
So it's like I have been trying to work on that.
Well, conversations are a skill that's developed.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, you also have to have good conversation skills with your profession. And so, which is a good and bad thing. So how does it feel whenever somebody, because you had tattooed a woman who tried to unalive herself, like the week before she came in for a tattoo. How does a conversation lead to that kind of confession?
They usually just come out with it. Like, I don't really ask too much.
People don't just randomly tell you, hey, by the way, last week I tried to unalive
I don't think
myself.
I dug looking for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, she had to offer that to me. I had no clue.
Right.
I don't know what I said to her. But, I just ask people. I do like to get personal with people.
Right.
Like, and I ask them things that I feel like probably nobody asks them. Or, only a therapist would ask them, and I just want them to, like, when I do that, I want them to answer me, but I want them to think, you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes people don't get that chance. I don't really remember what brought that up, but it was like, that was heavy when she told me that, because she was telling me she had, like, 2 kids at home. And I was just like, oh my God, so you're just gonna, I was just like, oh my God, so you would just leave them? Like, you would just basically leave them? And she's like, I just felt like I wasn't doing good, or I wasn't good enough. And I was like, oh, their life would be she goes, I just felt like their life would be better without me. And I go, that's the last thing that would make their life better.
Right,
I was just like, holy shit. Yeah, that was, I didn't have much to say, because, like, when somebody says something like that, it's like, well, they want a little bit of attention. And maybe just to tell somebody, or she's been telling everybody for the last week and a half since she tried it. You know what I mean? Like, she's probably telling everybody she runs into. But it's just like, fuck. All I think about is those kids that she was telling me about.
Okay. Now, what about how you felt?
What do you mean?
For somebody to just a stranger that you're having this moment with, because tattooing is a moment. You can say an intimate moment, and you can just say it, but it is a very personal moment between the artist and the canvas. How did you feel as the artist, to have your canvas admit to you, out of nowhere, just that they tried to unalive themselves?
Well, I like the openness,
Right.
I appreciate that. It doesn't bother. I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
I think there's something to do with when you're creating pain on somebody. Like, they just tend to fucking tell you whatever you want to hear, honestly. Like, not like in a lying way, but it's like, there's no filter because their filter is busy with the pain or something, you know, and so it just comes out of them.
Right.
It really does, and so it's not the first time I heard something crazy, you know.
Well, yeah. Well,
I've had them tell me they've seen demons. I've had multiple people tell me that, and I'm just like, okay, you know, it just like I worry about their children, you know what I mean? 'Cause, like this one woman, she was really like, I saw demons and all this shit, and then she was asking me a lot of biblical stuff, you know, and I did the best I could with her, but I remember when she left, I just thought to myself, oh, fuck. Like, this one might be really unhinged, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But,
But, you know, and, I mean, sane people, I mean, people see demons. But are they seeing something that's manifested out of their own brain?
yeah, I don't know.
You know, because, you know, demons that just happen to be human form. You know, and why are they human form? You know, are they human form because our brain dictates what, you know, that's what we think, that's what we've been raised to think, you know, through, you know, several years of conditioning of, you know, religious and TV and, you know, biblical thinking, you know, that demons, this is the form that they take.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you know, they also, you know, try to make you think that they don't exist at all. That's Satan's greatest trick is he makes people believe that he doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder, do we really see demons, or just do we see manifestations of our own brain of the evil that, you know, that's around us, or some kind of problem that we're dealing with at the time?
I think that you have so many people in this world that you got to have one of everything. You know what I mean? Like, if you can imagine it, it's out there. And so, sure, somebody's seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, it probably doesn't exist like that for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what she really meant. And my other friend that told me that, too, it's like, sometimes that shit's followed along with edibles. You know what I mean? Like, they'll eat a bunch of edibles, and then, like, sometimes that'll scare the fuck out of you. You know, and you have to control it. What I tend to think of a demon as in my own life is when I'm doing something and I call myself a loser, or if I say something like, oh, motherfucker, you know, if I talk bad to myself, I feel like that's a demon because
Yeah.
I'm like allowing myself to say things like that to myself. And, like, that's not positive. It's not good.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, that's one of the things I've been trying to change within myself is just being nicer to myself, because most of my life I've been pretty rough on myself.
Being nice to yourself versus being nice to people outside of you is a very different, you know, difficult
Mhm.
challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, really hard.
You know, because you can, you know, we've been raised, you know, through sports and through, you know, basically everything that, you know, to get better you have to hurt. You know, and you're never good. Everything's always a competition.
Yeah, no pain, no gain.
Yeah. And so, you know, in order to improve yourself, you have to degrade yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of affirming yourself that, yeah, I am good enough for this.
It's kind of true to some extent, you know, like you kind of like Shiva the destroyer, you know, I mean, she destroys to create new, so it's like to some extent, but at some point you should like ease up on yourself also, you know what I mean?
And where do people draw that line, though? That's,
Yeah. Like sometimes I'll just do something, I'll call myself stupid, you know, I'll be like, oh, fucking idiot. And then I hear my kids do it to themselves, and that really bothers me. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I need to change this. Like, because I like at first when they started doing it, I was like, where are they picking this shit up? And it's like, oh, it's me, I do that, you know?
You know, kids imitate, you know,
Yeah.
adults. And, you know,
Yeah.
they either imitate adults or they do things when adults laugh at it. Or, you know, because to them that's praise. That's
Mhm.
you know, acknowledgement. And that's why whenever a kid cusses, because he heard, you know, he heard your father cuss, and if you get on to him, then he questions everything else you do.
Probably, yeah.
You know, or if you laugh at it, you know, then you're encouraging that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just kind of have to. I don't know what y'all do. I don't know if y'all ignore it. You know, I don't
With
know.
that, we always just, well, he wants attention, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's what most of it is now. Is like he wants attention, and he knows he'll get his attention that way because we're gonna be like, oh, you're not a loser. So sometimes when he does it, what I do now is I go, yeah, you are a fucking loser, and he'll be like, no, I'm not. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, then
It's
stop
like-
fucking saying it.
It's like when women post pictures. You know, does this make me look fat? Or, you know,
Yeah,
or, you know, I'm such a loser. Nobody wants to date me and stuff like that.
Mhm.
When they're really hot. You know, they're 10 out of 10. You know,
yeah,
but they just want attention.
yeah. That's all it is. And so he said something like that at school. She got mad at him about something, and he was like, I'll just kill myself. And the teacher like freaked the fuck out. She's like, I've never heard a kid this young say that. And I'm just like, she's like, do you want us to get the counselors involved? And we were like, no. No, he knows he's fucking just trying to get attention. And
Right.
like, then we had to like ask him, hey, where you hear this? And he's like, my cousin, you know, so he heard his cousin say it. And so then he says it, you know.
Yeah. You know, because they're raised by, you know, by examples.
Yeah, and then you got these psychos want to take him so seriously. Like, he's obviously not going to hurt himself. Like, he doesn't even like to get his fucking toe smashed or, you know what I mean? He's the biggest baby.
They just think, you know, hey, you know, if he said that and he got,
Yeah.
then, I mean, it's kind of the same way with trans, you know, trans and our kids, you know,
Yeah.
they, you know, are they really, or are they just getting, they just need that attention that they see, you know, whenever you transition that they were getting,
Yeah.
they just want that attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a decision, you
And
know.
well, they get it too, right? Because
Right.
of, like, the way the world is right now. They're like, oh, you're so brave and all that shit.
Right.
I don't know. I think that shit's slowly coming to an end.
Well,
But it's hard to know. you
yeah,
know?
I think it's just people have gotten so tired of hearing it, they
It's-
just
I'm
stop
so over
watching.
it. Yeah.
You know, you know that we've stopped paying so hard attention to it that it's not so much going away; it's just not popping up on algorithms
Yeah.
anymore because people quit, you know, promoting it, sharing it.
Well, me and Jenny are watching that 90 Day Fiance, the newer season. I
Yeah.
think it's the other way or something, the other way. And there's a guy on there in the Philippines dating a lady boy. I just fast forward through all that shit. Jenny's like, what are you fast forwarding? I was like, I do not give a fuck about this relationship. I don't give a fuck about any of them, but I don't want to see that. Like,
Right.
you know, I just don't want to see it. I'm just over it. You know.
Well,
Good for you guys.
You know, the gaming world's getting the same way.
Yeah.
They're just, you know, they're tired of political agendas being pushed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to, and you know, a lot of the gaming journalists that are on YouTube that, you know, they're not actual like, journalists, but I guess kind of they are. They're just not paid journalists.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about it and how they play video games to escape the world. They get into a reality that's not their own.
Yeah.
And, you know, not to get into a game that also has political agendas
Yeah. it's
and they're
nuts.
and now Ubisoft their shares are down to $2.
Yeah. Isn't that the one that made the Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, I was watching this thing about it, and it was saying that they're not even going to the Japanese gaming convention.
No, they didn't go.
Yeah, because like they would basically be, and they had like, and the Japanese people were mad because there were banners that weren't there. And the guy said something really funny. Is he's like, oh yeah, because Japan was so welcoming. It was like Japan was like completely isolated from the whole world.
Yeah.
Like they were like so far behind. They were still using swords when we were using guns. You know, it's like they weren't letting nobody in over there.
Yeah.
There was no black samurai. Like this shit's so fucking stupid.
Well, it's, you know, it's the misrepresentation of their history
Yeah.
and making him, you know, deciding to make that black samurai, you know, non-binary, I guess, or
Yeah. Oh, was he?
bisexual.
Was he really?
Well, no, he wasn't, but the video game he was.
Yeah. Was there a real black samurai?
Yeah, there was a, well, that's where it kind of, some say no, some say there was a black, you know, that there wasn't a true black samurai, that there was, you know, black people in the samurai, but not that one, that he wasn't a real leader of the samurai. But, you know, I don't know the history of it, so I don't,
Yeah.
but and I know the guy who they consulted with
Uh-huh.
that said it was, you know, that said all that was true, you know, that's what it was. He's been found to be a member of Sweet Baby. You know, he's been found to be wrong on several occasions, and he's also a non-binary,
Christ.
you know, blue-haired, you know.
What does that even mean? You're nothing? You don't like sex? Like, I don't get it.
I don't know.
I don't like sex, but my whole identity is my sex.
Yeah,
It's so fucking dumb.
he is.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, and then there's Ghost of Tsushima was a great video game about a samurai, and Sony and the publisher of Ghost of Tsushima made a sequel, and it's been waited, and they finally released it, and it's basically about 300 years later, and it's about a girl samurai.
Fun.
Instead of just continuing on with the winning, the winning
Yeah.
picture, they decided to switch the roles.
It's so wild.
Now, the Assassin's Creed, now you brought that up, they actually delayed the game till February 14th.
Oh, it's still not. So they might change some shit. Is what you're thinking?
They're going to, you know, there's all sorts of, you know, underground Ubisoft developers, you know, coming out, but nobody's saying, because they don't want to get, you know, fired or, you know,
Yeah.
things like that, but they're saying they're going to wipe that Black Samurai story out.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea if that happens. But then they're going to release it during February 14th during Black History Month.
Oh, jeez. They're not taking it out.
Well, I don't even know if they'll be here.
Really?
Because Ubisoft their shares are so low that now a company called Tencent is, they're in, like the journalists say that they're going to buy them out and take them private. And Tencent's a very wealthy video game company that that nobody knows about because they're like BlackRock.
Okay.
They just own they own a lot of stuff, and they just have their hands in everything.
Yeah.
But if they buy Ubisoft out and take them private, then all that goes. That's all done.
Yeah.
And there may not ever be. I mean, this whole Assassin's Creed Shadow in Japan may never happen.
It's wild. That's wild.
Well, there's just people are tired of wokeness.
Yeah. Well, I hear from my customers, like
Yeah.
the other straight men, they say it in the chair, and I'm just glad to hear it because I'm fucking tired of it too. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck what you do with your fucking body parts. We really don't.
Okay, now there's another game coming out called Dragon Age Veilguard.
Okay.
Now they have top surgery scars. It's a character creator, but they, I don't know if you've seen that. But they have top surgery scars.
You told me about it many times, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
But now as the character creator getting more publicized, waiting for it to come out. Just to create a woman character, the bust size is about an A cup.
Yeah.
And the ass slide all the way over. So it's while they want DEI in it, they want everything included, but yet they don't.
Yeah.
Is how people are looking at it. And so my dumbass gets on, is on Facebook, trolling, and on a Fallout group, if you're like, hey, in Fallout 5, do you think they'll have piercings and stuff like that in your creator? I said, as long as they don't have top surgery scars, I'm all about it. And I got tore up and attacked and called a bigot, racist, leave us trans men alone. What if it doesn't matter to you? Why do you even bring it up? I mean, just post after post after post after post of just attacking.
That's funny.
I was like, all right. And then the post got removed.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And that was on what kind of a group?
Facebook, on Fallout.
Oh, Fallout
It was
group?
a Fallout group.
Jeez. Weird.
It's just
you said the gamer world's the other way, and it sounds like they're that way.
No, it's a small minority that's, whenever you have a difference, whenever you try to, say, hey, I don't like this.
Yeah.
This, in my video game, I don't like that. And then everybody just starts, bam, 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 and it's not, like, I don't know, probably 300 or 400 out of, the 1,000 people or 5,000 that are in that group. But it's that small minority with such a public voice that's, bringing that.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to buy it. And then what? Because, like, Star Wars should have been the easiest, IP for a video game company to print money on. Hey, here's Star Wars, make a video game about it. Okay. And they could make something that'd be awesome and just cash rolling in for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the way Star Wars works.
Uh-huh.
But instead, they screw it all up. They screw the whole game up. They don't make a good storyline. And now they sold 1 million copies. And that's it.
That's not a lot in the gaming world.
Black Myth Wukong sold 18 million copies in their first week.
Oh, really?
It just blew up. And Star Wars Outlaws been out for 90 days now, and they just now reached 1 million.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're taking that one off, right?
Now they took Concord off.
Oh, they took a different one off.
Yeah. Because Concord was just a bad game all the way around, and the graphics were okay, but not for a $40 game. But there's all the pronouns and the way the avatars looked that nobody liked.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
It's all a bunch of women that run Star Wars now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're faltering.
Their shows suck too, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody says.
And that's why those activist directors are getting let go.
Mm-hmm.
And then Disney is finally picking up on some stuff, I guess, because they're letting them go. They own ABC, and I know that they're firing people. I don't think they fired the debate moderators, but after the debate moderator whistleblower came out and said about how the Democrats controlled it, blah blah blah. Well, now Disney started firing people that are related to that. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
them bitches are retarded.
Well, people are tired of losing money.
Yeah. What do you think about that fucking how they spent all the FEMA money on immigrants?
Yeah.
They don't have any fucking money for these people that just lost everything in this hurricane.
$750.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
for those who desperately need it.
Yeah, here's for your life. Yeah.
Here's $750.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, but the billions that we're sending over to the Ukraine.
Yeah, and Israel.
Yeah. Speaking of Israel, they're mad at the Democratic Party.
Oh, I bet.
Because somebody leaked, because they, okay, so they didn't tell us, about one of these invasions or something they were going to do, which I guess I don't know if that's what they have to do. So they did tell us about a planned invasion they were doing in like the next month or something. Well, somebody from the Democratic Party told the New York Post, and the New York Post said, Israel's planning this food invasion in Lebanon, or in Israel, in the next 30 days. Just announces it. Hey, everybody, they're going to go over there. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so,
So what's the uproar?
because the Democratic, they told our standing party what their plans were for the war, and our standing party told the press.
Oh, they're not supposed to yet?
No.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to plan a surprise attack?
Well, they're like fighting like 7 different countries right now, aren't
Yeah.
they? They're fucking going at it.
But they're
yeah.
kicking ass, too.
Yeah. Well, my dad used to always talk about them. He would be like, nobody wants to fuck with Israel. And I'd be like, why? And he goes, because they have nukes. And he would say that they're like one of the world top fighters. You don't want to fuck with them.
No, I don't think, I don't think you should, because they have nukes, yes. But they have a stronger compelling for their religious, freedom than any other religion out there. They don't want to migrate out. They don't want to leave their country. They want Israel, and that's it. And they want and so if any threat to their land and is a threat to their God, and a man's threat to his own God, he will take out whatever measures he needs to.
Well, I say that's why Islam is like. I heard Douglas Murray talking about it, and he said that the way it's framed in the book is that this is the final revelation. And so there is nothing after. And with Christianity, there's like more to come, right? It's
Right.
like he's coming back and like all that shit. But with Islam, it's like, this is it, motherfuckers. This is the final fucking revelation. So you do what this shit says. And I was just like, oh my God, I never really thought about how, like, what a different mindset that would create. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's why they're escaping refugee. They become refugees from their own countries because they say it's because of how their country is, but yet when they go to other countries, they want it to be like that country.
Yeah, they keep doing it. Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
It's because they want to spread the word of Islam. They want Islam Nation towards everything.
Well, if you've ever seen these fighters like that go over to fight in Abu Dhabi, they I always thought Muslims didn't like white people, right? The white devil, blue-eyed, but boy, they really get behind you if you're another Muslim, no matter
Right.
what fucking color you are. It's just like they are really behind each other. So it's like one thing that is like kind of admirable. It's like they really give a fuck about each other in that way.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's definitely wild.
They do ride or die for each other. And even though the normal Muslim doesn't really denounce the extremist, like the ISIS or I don't even know all the terrorist groups now.
Yeah.
I knew at one time there was Osama and his group, and after that became ISIS, and then after he died it became ISIS, but after that I don't know all the rest of them.
Yeah.
But even though they don't really denounce them, they don't they don't endorse them, but they don't really denounce them either. Just
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, they.
And then like all those terrorist groups are like intermarrying now. Like the guy Osama bin Laden's son is married to like one of his wives is the leader of Hezbollah's daughter, and then another one of his wives is the leader of another ISIS or something, and like so they've intermarried now, and like so
Right.
they're all like starting to combine. And I was listening to this podcast, the Sean Ryan show, and he was like talking about how they're already here. A bunch of bad actors are already here. And like, so once this border does close up, we're probably going to see some like serious attacks and shit. And I was just like, oh, wow.
Well, I mean, we've always had bad actors. I don't. And
Yeah, but they've come across the border in record numbers lately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I was like, it's good stuff, but it definitely had me like, oh, fuck.
well, the world is definitely getting, the world's becoming, and we're seeing more and more, thanks to social media and thanks to the publications and thanks to underground journalism, we're actually seeing the evils of the world that can't be hidden from us anymore.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s and 90s, you just knew that there was a lot of bad people in the desert.
Yeah.
As a child, here in America, as a child back in the 80s and 90s, it was, over in Iraq, there's some bad people.
Yeah.
And we're going, and they try to do bad stuff to us, and they want to see us all die. But now, as things get more progressive, like, well, we're not the best people. There is no best people. There is
Yeah.
no best. Everybody's bad.
Yeah.
Russia's bad, and they can't win their war. Once Ukraine got our backing, they started losing. But we still think Russia's a bad country.
Oh, I think that we're at war with Russia right now, and we're sending all that money to Ukraine, but they're just fighting our war for us. That's
Right.
all. That's all that's happening.
Yeah.
Like we are at war with Russia, but it's a proxy war right now.
We're funding a war,
Yeah.
funding a war with money and guns, and
Yeah.
we just haven't put any troops on the ground yet.
Yeah. Not over there, right? Yeah.
And I think we are in Israel, though, or for Israel
I
in
saw
some
something
country.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a small ground force,
Yeah.
which is how Nam started.
Yeah.
Was a small ground force to
Was-
go
was
over
it?
there. Nam, Vietnam.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's supposed to start with a small ground force that was going to go over there
I didn't know that.
and educate and police, and try to, but yeah, it didn't work out too
I
well.
really like history documentaries, but when I think about watching them, it's usually at nighttime, and they put me out. I'm just like out, and I really like history a lot, but like boy, they will put me the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'll get tired really quick.
Now you said, owning a business, whenever to sell a product, you have to upkeep your product. You have to upkeep yourself, and you have done better with your social media presence as trying to promote your shop, promote your product. But your other business of being a landlord,
Hmm.
that's kind of a passive business where you do have some upkeep, but not so much until something wild happens, like the eviction video.
Or the freezes, like when the freeze
Right.
happened, all their pipes bust.
Right. You got to pay for all that.
Yeah.
But you had just posted this eviction video. And now what led to the eviction?
Okay, so there were two roommates, and I thought they were gay guys, like older guys, right? Because like they seemed very like secretive and quiet, and we called them and told them, hey, like we bought your house, and we wanted to come out and introduce ourselves to you, and I don't know if we were going to talk about a new lease yet, but I think we just wanted to introduce ourselves, and so we go out there and we start talking to them, and one of the guys goes. He goes, oh, well, like, as we're telling him, we're probably going to raise the rent, whenever the lease is up. And they of course, they didn't like that, but it wasn't a lot. It was like $100, that we were raising it. And the one guy goes, oh, well, I'm thinking about buying it. And I go, okay, well, you have to buy it from me now. I was like, because I own it now, so you can't buy it from the old people. And he was just like, oh. Like, he was like, just like kind of like dumbfounded because like he didn't understand what I was telling him, I guess,
Right.
And so then like, and he was a good tenant, and the other guy I could tell I didn't like as much. The one guy, he like worked for an airline and stuff. The other guy, we didn't know anything about whether he had a job or not. Just based on the way that they presented themselves, the other guy seemed, like a fucking crackhead, and but I mean, I kind of assumed they both just were. And so then the one guy that worked for the airline, he fell, hit his fucking head, and forgot who the fuck he was. And so he couldn't pay rent anymore. I think his wife kind of paid rent for like maybe 2 or 3 more months, and then she wanted out, so we let her out of the lease, and we told the other guy, look, man, you could take this over, and he's like, well, my job, blah, blah, blah. And so like we were like, okay. And we were like, you still have some time, like the rent's not due, and we gave him like till that time, and he still didn't have he hadn't paid any rent or anything, was still giving us excuses. So I think we let it go like another month. And then at the end of that month, we were like, okay, like we had to like start the eviction process, because I knew he was lying to us when we were there. He was like, well, my job's he's like, I'm working with AI. And there wasn't a computer in that place. You know what I mean? And when we evicted him, that's when we found out there was no fucking computer in there at all.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, and I knew he was lying though, it was just because of the kind of person he was. Like I could tell he doesn't fucking have a job,
Yeah.
And I don't know. And they were smoking inside, and so he's like, well, we're sitting on the couch talking to him, and he's like, well, I can probably move home to Chicago, or I got this and this, and he's basically telling us if we can give him this amount of time, he can find a place by this. And so we're like, okay, like, we want to be fair. I want to be a good human. And so I was like, but I knew he was lying. And we were like, okay, well, you can have till this date to get your shit together. And he just never did it. He just never fucking did it. And so I'm really like glad I got to go there and experience it, because it was kind of fun. You know, it was gross, but it was fun at the same time.
I saw some of like in the video, but I don't think you posted everything in the video.
Like what?
How gross it was. I mean,
Well, they had already kind of moved a lot of shit around in there, so like when we got there, a lot of shit was piled up in the fucking front room and shit. But his room was crazy. His room just had stuff hanging from the ceilings, just like all the kind of trash you could imagine that people would go through your garbage for. Was the kind of shit he had out there. You know, bunk beds. He had a flower bed that was like the border to the flower bed was made out of bunk bed parts. You know, the thing that keeps you from falling out.
Yeah.
And so it's just like they were creating shit out of trash. It was really weird. And then all the bleach bottles that were full of water. That was a pretty weird one. That was really odd.
Now, why would somebody have bleach bottles?
I think because we started paying the electricity and the water after the other guy, you know, was off the lease. And we paid for it for like about 2 months because we thought like that's what we had to do. And then my uncle told us, no, you don't need to pay for anything. That's all his shit. And so we just turned the water and the power back off, you know. And he wasn't answering our fucking phone calls before that, but as soon as we turned the power off, then he started answering then he started calling us, and we were done talking to him at that point.
Right.
And so we were just like, no, but I think he was flushing the toilet with some of it. They just had weird like messages written on them too, like Happy New Year on one of the bottles. Just said Happy New Year, and like DDP, or like I don't know, it's just like weird shit. And then I seen for toilet on one of them, so I don't know if they were using that to flush the toilet. There was power and water when we went to evict them, so I don't have a clue.
That's just. Now, any aftermath from the eviction, like hate mail and stuff like that from him or anything?
No, just one ugly YouTube comment, but like I haven't it got a lot of traction for a few days, and then it just stopped getting any traction.
That's what happens.
Yeah, once I uploaded it to our other channel, because you were like, you can upload it to that one too, it just kind of stopped getting traction.
Right.
But I don't know if somebody found it and reposted it somewhere. All the comments were really positive though. They were just like, how do people do shit like this? And like, there was like one bad comment, and it was just probably some random guy just being a dickhead.
Huh.
Because he was like, that's my uncle. He's done more for the community than you've ever done, or some shit like that.
Well, you can do a lot for the community if he's not paying rent.
Yeah. Well, my brother was like, he always told us he didn't have any family. So I was like, oh, he don't have no. I was like, just a random guy. Yeah.
Man. So. And then you had tattooed a woman, again, that, and that she was a previous cult member.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of conversations you have with her?
Well, she told me her dad died, and it sounded like it was kind of sudden. And so we talked about that. And, like, to me, that's always, like, that's got to be the worst, is when it's a sudden death versus you get to watch them on hospice die.
Right.
It's like they're both painful in their own way, but at least when you get to go with hospice, at least you get to spend some time. You get to know what's coming, you know? But when they just go, it's got to be harder.
Yeah, I mean, it has its good and bads. I've had people tell me they wish their parent would have just died versus watching them die. Especially from Alzheimer's, dementia type diseases. Yeah. They're like, the ones, because with that kind of, you either go one way or the other. You either have a silent, slow, peaceful one, or you get that one where they get sundowners and yell and scream and cuss and become assholes.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that makes you look at your mom like, well, who are you?
Yeah, my mom we had a lot of fights before I found out she had dementia.
Right.
And like, I spent a lot of time angry because I was just like, what the fuck is her problem? She would throw away food I would bring home for the next day. Yeah. And like, she would just throw it all out. I'd be like, what happened to it? She goes, it was bad. I'd be like, I just bought it yesterday. There was no, and so like, I would be mad at her for little dumb shit like that. And so I remember the day that she came walking across the living room, she's like, hobbling, and we're not looking at each other. We're so mad at each other, like I'm so mad at her, at least, that like, and it was so stupid for me to even be that way. And I'm looking at her, and like, she's behind the couch, and as soon as she comes out from behind the fucking couch, and I can see her legs, they're like the size of elephant legs. They're just like straight, like a straight jean all the way down, but it's her skin.
Right.
And I go, hey, what's going on with you? And she, like, I remember the look on her face was like, oh, somebody cares. And I just remember like how bad I felt, and everything all rolled into one, and like, okay, we have to take care of you now, but like, I didn't know, you know what I mean, that something was going on. And so I was like, hey, we got to go to the hospital. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, she was just glad that somebody was caring.
Right.
You know, and then I thought about it, and I was like, us getting in that fight I could have been the one that pushed that to happen, you know what I mean? By stressing her out, you know, or whatever. And like, and I see your face, but like, you know, these are the things I think. And
These
of
are the
course,
things- yeah, of
of
course,
course,
you
you don't want to think that way, but it's totally possible.
No, well,
know?
you don't want, but that's the first thing you think of, because that's that guilt you feel, like, whenever like you do have an argument with somebody and then they leave your house and they die in a car wreck.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the last thing I ever said to her was, I hope you get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
So no, dude, I totally, that's a normal thought. It
I
just
know,
makes me laugh
yeah.
because I'm like, no, she has CHF.
I
no,
know,
she has
yeah.
fluid retention.
But still, like us arguing probably didn't help anything. You know what I mean? And like, so like,
no, it didn't. It didn't.
and even then, I still wasn't like the son I should have been, because I took her to the fucking ER, and I fucking hate being in ERs like
Yeah.
a lot. And my brother, she was like, you don't have to stay. She's like, you don't have to stay. Your brother will come be with me. And so my brother came up there and sat with her in the ER that first day. They admitted her, and all that shit. And I just went back home after I dropped her off. You know what I mean? And I fucking hate ERs. And I didn't want to be in there. And I remember we were sitting in there and people are sick, holding fucking bloody eyes and shit, and I'm just like, oh my God, get me out of here. And so as soon as my brother got there, I left. And I still remember, like when I think about it now, it's like I was just so wrapped up in myself.
Right.
Wrapped up in my own shit and what I wanted, and I don't even know what I was searching for at that time,
Well, we never do. You're
Yeah.
just always searching and you never know what you're searching for. It's just some little, until you never know what you're searching for until something finally happens. You're like,
And-
okay.
And that's how I know it went the way it was supposed to go. Like,
Yeah.
I don't sit there and hold like this big, heavy, guilty heart or anything, because like if it was meant to go a different way, it would have just gone a different way.
Right.
Like obviously that is the path that was meant to happen. But, like I definitely learned a lot from that, and I try to share that with other people a lot. I remember telling one of my close friends one time about what had happened, and she was like, oh, I couldn't imagine. And I remember she kept saying that, I couldn't imagine, talking about her own mom, and I was like, well, you fucking better. Or you better fucking start imagining it, because it's going to hit you even harder if you're like, I can't imagine.
Right.
You better start thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, start spending time with your parents now.
Yeah.
That's like, and so when I get a lot of customers that come in with shit like that too, and they talk to me about their parents, because they're usually young, and then I kind of will express to them my story, like kind of what we just did, and maybe a different story, I don't know, but like I'll express that to them, the same message, that like you need to think about how long they're going to be here. So I had some kid the other day that said something like that, and I was like, and I looked at him and I go, the older you get, dude, the more of them are going to fucking die. I go, that's just something you should like learn to deal with now. It's like, just start expecting it, because the older you get, the more of them are going to die.
Right.
And you're going to be all alone eventually, and so you better prepare yourself.
Unless you die first.
Yeah.
That's, people who have 9 brothers and sisters, that's 8 funerals you have to go to if you're the last survivor.
You don't have to go.
No, you don't have to go. Well, just, and normally there's one black sheep that won't go to
Yeah.
any of them. That's the long lost uncle that nobody ever sees again.
And I wish I could have talked at my mom's funeral, but I just couldn't.
Right.
I just couldn't. Like, I was having a really, like, I mean, it sounds weird to say it, but like everyone else was really sad. I was just glad my mom was done suffering, and I know how the kind of person she is, and she wouldn't want anybody to be in sorrow. You know what I mean? She just wouldn't. Like that's not how she would want things. And so I just hugged every single fucking person. I had people that show up that I never would have expected to show up too.
Yeah.
Like Cassie showed up, and I mean, I wasn't thinking about Cassie at that time. I don't know that I would be the same person to go to someone else's mom's funeral. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even think about it unless they invited me or told me. And so I really, and like my other friend, his name is Scary Larry. He was he was a bandito, right? And, he showed up, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, that was probably the most not outrageous, but the most wow, thank you, Larry. You know what I mean? And I fucking hugged him and shit, and and he's somebody in my youth that used to scare the shit out of me. You know what I mean? But I think he liked me because I wouldn't let that fear through. I wouldn't let him see me scared. He scared me, but like I was still willing to talk to him, and like, you know, like I didn't fear him the way that I think other people feared him, and I think he liked me for that, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool when he showed up. Every now and then he sends me a message on Facebook, like a voice message, and tells me he loves me and shit. Like, fucking love that guy. But like, I mean, it meant so much to me because he didn't know my mom at all.
No,
you know?
he was there for you.
Yeah, and that was just like, it was amazing.
You know, people go to funerals. They're either going there for because they knew the person, they want to, you know, get their, or they know the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't like funerals. You know, I try to avoid all of them I can, but there's some of them I can't, or you know, won't be able to. But no, so I get what you're saying. Like, and you know, people are sad, but are they sad because you know? I like celebration funerals.
Mm-hmm, me too.
Versus the sorrowful funerals, especially for. I mean, people die.
Mm-hmm.
You can be sad. I mean, you can be sad that they're dead, but you know, you can't do anything about it. So don't dwell on it.
Yeah, and only a narcissist would want everybody else to be sad when they die.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not going to the funeral for that person. You're going for yourself, or to show support for the family, you know, member that you're, you know, close to.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't even like. I don't even want a funeral. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I don't really either.
Don't acknowledge my, you know. And then but you know, people are going to, and then I want to know who went because you didn't acknowledge me in life, so but yet you're going to acknowledge me in death.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've been sharing like a lot of these memories on Facebook, and it's like my oldest son, right? And and I've been saying vague ass shit, and I'm like, I miss him so much, just to hear your voice again, things like that, you know, and I'm doing that for fucking him, so that when he sees these posts, he knows that I fucking miss him, right? It's not for all these other fucking nosy motherfuckers that are like, people are like sending me messages like, hey, I know it's none of my business, but what happened with your son? And I'm just like, you nosy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even somebody I talk to regularly. This bitch is like she's somebody from like 6th grade. You know what I mean? And she's like, I'm just like, what the fuck? And then she sees me post that, and then she sends me another message, and I just deleted it because I'm just like, what the fuck? You're just being nosy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really give a fuck. Like, you know, you just want to know what happened. Like, we don't even talk. And so, like, that shit got on my nerves so bad, and so that's why I, like, posted that last one like that, you know. And a few of my friends, because, like, a lot of people reached out to me and asked me things, and I just didn't answer. I just would give them a thumbs up. Or I think one person that I, like, actually like, named Sheila, she asked about it, and I told her I just hadn't talked to him in a long time. And so, like, I didn't want her to think that it was about her, you know, and I told one of their friends that it wasn't really about her, but she was kind of being nosy.
Right.
But, you know, I didn't really care to make her feel like shit, so I was just like, it's not really about you, it's about other people, but it was a little bit about her.
I mean, I saw him, and I'm like, yeah, he misses his boy.
Yeah. Well, you know the story. You know what I mean?
Just it. Yeah. Even if I didn't know the story, yeah, I saw you post pictures of, you know, if I didn't know Gio at all, if I didn't know the story, I just, okay, you posted, but that's, you know, that's not a post for public comment. You know, that's just, you know.
Well, yeah, you would ask me. If I had never shared that story with you and then I started posting that shit, you would ask.
I would
be
like, hey, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because we're close.
Yeah. But from somebody
I get what you're
6th
saying.
grade,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, what happened to
She's
your
just
son?
being a nosy bitch.
Yeah.
And this other bitch that lives in Austin that I haven't talked to for fucking years. I'm just like, the fuck. Like, if you have to start your conversation, you picked up on what I was saying right away. Like, you know, if you have to start your conversation that way, don't fucking start the conversation.
I don't mean to, this is none of my business.
Yeah.
This is, you know, I don't mean to offend you. I don't want to upset you.
No.
I hate to say this.
Yeah.
Oh, those are all things that, you know.
You're answering your own shit right there.
Yeah. If you don't, if your conversation starts with, if your thought process starts with that, that's your own brain filter going, don't say this.
Yeah. It was crazier to me that she even messaged me after I made the second post telling people not to fucking DM me, and she messaged me again. I'm just like, what the fuck?
He surely wasn't talking about me. I'm more important. I know him in 6th grade.
Yeah. We talk so often. Like, well, you're just being nosy.
We haven't talked in 20 years.
Falling for my Facebook trap. I knew when I posted it I was gonna get some of that, but you know, I don't know. I thought it would be from people closer to me, not these looky-loos.
Well, the people who are close to you actually talk to you.
Yeah.
You know, what, you know, those who are of us who are close to you, we know the story between you and Gio.
Yeah.
You post stuff like that, and you're like, and you know, I feel bad for, you know, I feel for him, but that's where it stops.
Yeah.
The next time I see him, I'll mention it.
Yeah, if you need to.
Yeah,
You know.
you know, if it even warrants it, because
Yeah.
he didn't post that. Because I already know the story. If he wanted to talk to me about him missing his boy,
Yeah.
he would talk to me. He posted that for himself or
Yeah.
for his own reasons.
For him, yeah.
Uh,
But like I get on Facebook and it's just like, oh, here's this memory, and so I look at the memory and that's what makes me think, you know, oh, so let me share this because I know that motherfucker looks at my Facebook, you know,
Yeah,
every now and then. I don't know how often, but I know anytime I message him, he'll go scan my Facebook like as if it's a measurement of who I am.
or what's he wanting to talk to me about?
Yeah.
You know, what's he been posting about?
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. No, so I can understand that. Now, what, you know, the Diddy situation's getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love following it. People are like, what are they saying? They're things like, y'all are all watching Diddy, but they're over here passing this bill and this bill. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of important who the fuck was going to these Diddy parties, bro. We kind
Yeah.
of need to know about all these deviants, you know.
Yeah. And,
What's the newest?
well, just, you know, it's up to 3,000 allegations.
Uh-huh.
You know, of course, some of them are going to be fake.
Yeah, they vetted them, though. It was like down to 120, right?
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the ones they vetted, you know, they vetted 120
Yeah.
of them. They haven't vetted all of them yet.
Yeah.
But they have, you know, they have vetted a lot and came out with 120
Yeah.
so far. But what I want to know is the list. I want it because even that, you know, when you watch that press conference that Larger gave, he said there's a lot of powerful people that we're going to bring down. I want to know that. I want,
Yeah.
you know, because, and I know it's not going to happen until after the election's over, but for me, it's more of a personal gotcha,
Yeah.
or I told you so, because a lot of them, I bet, are the same ones who thank God, who, you know, promote, you know, the Democratic Party, who, you know, who promote all these good moral values. I bet whenever all that comes out, is somebody going to call them out on it?
Yeah. Well, like a big part of the Freemason like creed and shit is that like, especially like when they start talking about like them being satanic and all that shit, is like that one of the things they say is, oh, they have to pretend to be this on the outside and then to really be this on the inside. And so it is like just a part of all that stuff, you know. Not saying all Freemasons, but you know, there's definitely, just like how you have Lutherans and Catholics and all that shit, they definitely have the same kind of shit in Freemasonry.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? It's not all
Yeah.
cohesive, you know? And so, like, you definitely are going to have some of that stuff. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I just think Trey was asking me about it, and he goes, you really think it's all of them? Because I'm always posting shit like that. And, you know, it's got the Hollywood sign where it says it's all of them.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite fucking, I love that picture. Because I really believe that. Like, I really do. Like, and, like, I really do.
Yeah, it's
Really
a,
do.
you know, it's a majority of them for sure.
Yeah.
You know, there's some celebrities that aren't woke, that aren't, that didn't go to Diddy parties.
Yeah.
They're outspoken but they're also blacklisted from Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, now, but I'm excited to see the downfall. There was a long time the Illuminati was a very secret organization. You kind of knew that, you know, Diddy was in it, and, you know, some of the other really rich people
Yeah.
were in it. But those are also the same ones that are at this party.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that all that gets exposed, and even though it's not the true Illuminati of the, you know, like what the members of BlackRock are in. you
Well,
know.
have you ever seen that picture with Russell Brand holding that egg?
Yeah.
Have you heard about the hard-boiled egg test, right?
No.
Oh, so apparently, like they would stick a hard-boiled egg up their asses of these people that are like trying to become famous stars. They would stick this fucking egg up their ass, and if the egg breaks, then they're not ready for fame yet. And so they have to have a loose ass asshole, basically, is what they were saying. And I mean, you know, like this could just be fucking the internet for having fun.
Right.
But there's a picture of Russell Brand holding an egg with P Diddy. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Maybe, yeah. That sounds a little suspicious.
It's all pretty wild. Then Russell Brand like became a big Christian, repented, and all that shit
Yeah.
recently. So like, who knows?
Did he? I thought he hated Christianity.
No, he's a Christian now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's on a Tucker Carlson podcast. So he's doing a live podcast, and he's like he like gets down and does a prayer and shit like that. But there's
That's
a video.
disappointing.
There's video of him getting baptized and all that shit.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
And he just says it's because well, there's a lot of people becoming Christians. Even Trey's kid wants to become Catholic right now. And it's like, Trey was like, that's weird. And I was like, yeah, it's a big thing. It's like a big revival coming.
Well, for me, I liked Russell Brand, not so much his comedy, but his the way he would challenge the press and the way he'd challenge everybody else.
Yeah.
He would challenge political, and he'd challenge religion, and he would challenge them with thinking type questions. But it seems he succumbed to it.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just go back to Ricky Gervais and.
Well, that's like all that shit's from the past, with the picture with him and the egg and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Now he's like, seems to be a decent human, but who knows? Who knows?
I'll go back to Ricky Gervais and
He's still my favorite.
watching his political commentary and religious commentary and
Yeah,
his interviews.
He's good.
There's a guy named Hutchins that talks about, it's an atheist, an outspoken atheist that, and then for some reason, I'm still a fan of Jordan Peterson. He makes a lot of good, commentary videos, but he's also very religious.
No, he's not.
Jordan, the white guy. That looks
Yeah,
like
he's not. So like,
Well, he promotes a lot of God.
it's like you have to understand what he means by God, though. He's not. He's like That's why I wanted to get his book so bad, because like when I listen to him talk about all this shit, it's like so profound, and he's saying things like, when you like the call to adventure, like when God came to Moses, is really like the call to adventure. It's like asking you to go on this hero's journey, and then like you having faith and believing in something higher is like you aiming upward with all your potential. Like you're aiming at the highest possible goal, and like that's where you're aiming. And as long as you do that, you'll answer the call to adventure, and life will like reward you. But he was saying that like all the Christians are like up in arms because he just won't say. They all want him to say that he's a Christian, but he's looking at it. He's looking at the story as an allegory or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's like having a hidden meaning. And I think he's really fucking nailing it. I think he's really close to the fucking true meaning of it. And that's why I can't wait for this book. I pre-ordered it and everything. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah.
And but he's just like, the Christians are mad at him because he won't just fucking come out and fully say, I'm a Christian, and he's still trying to figure all this shit out. Like with him, he doesn't necessarily, I don't think he believes in Christ the same way. I think he's looking at it more as like a spirit that's within you,
Right. And that part I can I just like, I've been watching these atheist debates.
I've seen a few.
With him on it, and he's lost a couple. And I don't know. It's just that part's weird to me. This man, I watch him, and I enjoy his content, and I enjoy his speeches. Then I watch him debate this atheist. I have no idea, and this atheist makes a lot of good points. If it wasn't,
you remember the
Stephen
name?
Fry,
Okay.
is one of them. But you should really watch some Stephen Fry stuff. He makes a lot of good points without pushing any kind of political agenda or any kind of religious agenda. He just makes people. I just like it that he questions people, and it doesn't just accept, well, it's God's will, or that miracles happen. It's like, no, science happens.
Yeah.
And science can explain a lot of things. And he hates the Catholics. He doesn't understand the Catholic. He understands it. He just doesn't like the Catholic. The way that the Vatican rules the world, and the Pope is the Pope is the biggest leader,
For a long time he was, right? Yeah.
And then, besides Islam, Catholicism is like, the biggest sect of religion. I don't know. It's just I've been questioning a lot of that stuff, and I just enjoy watching it because it makes me question even more.
Yeah. I don't like a nihilist view. I don't like where you just think that there's nothing. And I used to feel that way.
Yeah.
I did until I had like a big deep mushroom experience, and then like I was just laying there laying on the earth, like my belly on the grass, and I just remember it all hit me, and it was just like, and it like showed itself to me and everything, and I was just like, oh shit. And I had this one guy from my mom's church that lives in my neighborhood, and for fucking years he would be like, you just need to come back to church. You still have a family. You still have a church family, blah, 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 all this shit. And so one day I was just like, Bo, I'm not coming back to church. I go, I believe in a creator. I was like, I just don't believe in the same creator you believe in necessarily. I go, I don't have an answer, dude. I go, I don't have a solid answer. I don't think this guy did this and that makes me all good. I go, but I do believe that something created all of us. And I was like, and, you know, so like, it's not like I'm without faith. You know, I just don't believe in that story because I just don't know the answer, man. I was like, I just don't know the answer. And I'm just, so you heard of Socrates, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, have you ever read any Socrates?
You know, bits and pieces, but nothing.
You can't. He didn't write anything down.
Okay, so it's just all word of mouth that I've read then.
Yeah.
Or books about Socrates.
It is. It's Plato talked about Socrates, and that's who him and Aristotle, I believe, learned from. I only know this because I bought a book, and it was supposed to be Socrates' writings.
Yeah. When
I got the book is empty. And I was like, what the fuck is this? You know, and like, so I went to go onto Amazon to see why the book is blank, and they're like, it's a joke. It says it in the description. I just didn't read the description when I bought the book, but it's like, it's a joke because he never wrote anything down. And I was just like, what a fucking, so when I wanted to go get my refund, they were like, you don't even have to return it. They were just like, because I guess it probably gets returned so often.
Yeah.
They were like, you can just keep it. We'll give you your $7 back. But I was just like, what a dickhead. Like, what a dickhead person to even make this book, number one. But, I mean, they taught me something, right? You know?
Yeah.
And so to read Socrates, you have to read Plato and Aristotle. And, but Socrates' deal is that he didn't know anything. And that's why people looked up to him and they think of him as the great first philosopher type because, well, Greek, right? Because he was so open to say, I don't know shit. You know what I mean? And so that's how I kind of feel. I feel like that. Like I don't know anything.
I don't know enough.
Yeah.
I know enough to question. You know, and I know to always question.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't do a belief, you know, without question. I can't do 100% faith belief. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I wish I could just shut off that part saying, all right, yeah, you know, fuck it. You know, I have all the faith that that's true. And then that part of my life is over and I can go back to, you know, doing whatever it is that I was doing before that. But I can't do that. I always question. And it just, I don't know, that's my drive. But yeah, I kind of feel like I know stuff, but I don't know enough.
Yeah. You can't ever, because once you fucking say, oh, I know this, it stops. That's where it stops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you have to always be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That has to be your final answer. I don't know. And because, like, life will always surprise you, right? And so I don't know. It could be that there's nothing. It could be that we're just fucking die and that's it. Blank page. Bzzz. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, but those who believe that, you know, those who believe there's nothing out there after this, they actually, you know, they appreciate the life that they have, versus always believing that, you know, no matter how shitty this life is, I can, you know, after I die, they look forward to death. You know, instead of looking forward to life, they look forward to death.
Somewhat. So, like, when I was that guy, I felt like I wasn't living my best life. I wasn't living as if there was no tomorrow. I was living more like, what's the word, pessimistic, you know,
Yeah.
just like fuck everything. Like, that's more how I felt when I felt like that. When I
Right.
felt like there was no God, there was no nothing, there's nobody fucking loves you, you know what I mean? Like, and like yeah, I just felt like that. Like, I just felt I wasn't happier. That's for sure.
Well, you know, but a lot of nowadays they don't believe that, you know, like that. They, you know, with the hate and stuff, they want to enjoy the life they have without restrictions.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's the other part where I was gonna go is like, and so like what it led me to do was just to follow my impulses and my urges more. And so
Right.
if I wanted to fuck 2 girls, I would just fuck 2 girls. You know, if I wanted to just never commit to anybody, I would just never commit to anybody. And I felt like it was all okay to be that way. And it's funny because at the same time as I felt like it was okay to be that way, I would have these moments where I just felt like a fucking hurricane going through like women's lives. Because I would get with somebody and like everything would be fine and shit. They would do something to me and then I would fucking cheat on them or whatever. And then like eventually I just always felt like I was just destroying people's lives because I just felt differently. Not destroying their lives, but you know what I mean? Like their emotions for a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I sure do.
And so like I just felt like I was just fucking following all my animalistic urges with like no restraint and no control. You know what I mean? Because nothing mattered.
And yeah, no, I get what you're going with that. It's just but then you have to grow up and mature wise.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes a long time to do that for some people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's good that that you changed, but you don't stay an asshole forever.
Yeah. Well, I was definitely more of an asshole then. You know.
Yeah.
Now it's more like I don't know. I fucking lost my thought when I seen that guy walking by. I always thought they were coming here. So. But I just felt like more of an asshole then, just being a dickhead, doing what I wanted to do, not caring about other people, and what their feelings. And like now, I feel like I've gotten control of that animal side of me, and like I'll never be that way again. And I've thought about it a lot. Like if something ever happened to Jennifer, one day we were talking and she was like, "Oh, you'd be with somebody again." She told me that, and I was just like, I looked at her like. And I just accepted it. I was like, okay, like fine. But then we were talking the other day, and I was like, I don't think I would. I was like, because I was really like protective with my fucking oldest son. Like I wouldn't let anybody near him, and I didn't let her near him. I didn't let anybody near him for a long time, and so I don't think I would necessarily just be like that. But at that time, I was still like more about getting my nut all the time. And I was like,
right.
I was always chasing pussy all the time. And so like now I think I have that piece of me contained, I don't want to just to fuck as much pussy as I can, and that literally used to be my thing.
Yeah.
That was like my goal, just to fuck as much pussy as I can, just to make myself feel better about myself, and
right.
I'm worthy. The women want me. You know what I mean?
It was your own way to find acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It was a way to find attention.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually that shit gets old.
It just led me nowhere.
Yeah.
It really did. It led me nowhere, and I just felt like I was hurting a lot of women. And so, like, I feel much better as the person I am now, for sure.
And that's not, it's kind of, you feel bad for them too, though, right? Like,
yeah. I feel horrible about the way I acted with some of them.
Right. So, I mean, that's a good thing versus, I used to be a real asshole. I used to be a real hoe back in my day.
Yeah.
But it's, a lot of people who find themselves and they're on longer horse, you never hear them say, "Well, I also fucked over a lot of people whenever I was."
Well, I feel horrible because like I just wasted a lot of people's time.
Right.
Like they thought they were gonna get me in the end by putting up with all my shit.
But whenever the internet, the technology and Tumblr and group messaging. And I found a group, and I would, internet chat with these women that were overseas, England, usually it was England because I was working nights and the time zone matched up. Mm-hmm. And you get with them and you text them and you build up this relationship with them. And you're like, oh, fuck, I'm married. This is never going to happen. But you never tell them that. You're just like, you enjoy the attention that this other woman's giving you. And yeah, sure, they were all adults, but yeah, they were mainly in their 20s when I was in my late 30s and married.
Yeah.
And I would just carry on this thing and be like, oh, well, I'm done talking to you. I'm bored with you.
Yeah.
And it would devastate them.
Some of them, yeah.
And it was nothing more than just a online affair.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? Why are you so devastated?
Yeah.
To them, it was that was their thing.
Yeah. Well, they believed it. You know what I mean? They believed you were.
And it made me feel after a while, and after my last, when that we carried on, and it hurt me to let her go too, because she wanted to date somebody local, and she wanted to date somebody in person. And I was like, I got to get out, dude. I got to stop doing this to people. And so I did. I just finally broke enough. And then me and her, I tried to stay friends with her because her then boyfriend, probably still is, he knew about us and what we used to do. And he said, yeah, remain friends. And I tried to remain friends with her, but I just couldn't do it because the temptation was still there.
Yeah.
To try to reel her back in. And if she wouldn't have taken it, then I would have felt like, fuck that bitch.
Yeah.
Or if she would have taken it, then I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going to destroy her life all over again.
Yeah.
And so I just ghosted.
You have to.
I just, and I'm sure that she was mad and broken.
Yeah.
If you ever see this, I apologize. But, sometimes you have to hurt people in order for them to move on.
Well, it's just similar to like my mom, right? When I was like, I wish I could have been different, but obviously it was meant to go this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like you wanna be like, there's a piece of you that wants to regret it, but you really can't, because if it was gonna go any other way, it just fucking would have.
Yeah.
You know,
You know,
it just fucking would have.
You know, the attention I got from them, you know, and because a lot of them, a few of them were there whenever I was really big, and I got the surgery, and then I went through the weight loss, and you know, she was there through the whole thing. My ex-wife, she was there, but she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I got the support from this online thing,
Yeah.
and so you know, so I mean, everything was in. I made her a better person. She made me a better person, and whenever I ended, you know, the way that I did, and became it just by ghosting. You know, yeah, it was a bad way to end it, but I just couldn't. I couldn't talk to her anymore, because I just kept on wanting to go back to where that was, especially now that I was single.
Yeah. 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 Of course. Once you pop the top.
Yeah. And so now I can appreciate what you're talking about. You just kind of grow. You learn. At least we learned from our experiences not to fuck people over
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, like I don't want to do that ever again.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be that person again. That, like, just because I was just trying to fill a hole,
Right.
a bottomless fucking pit that couldn't be filled till I decided to fill it myself. You know, like nobody else is gonna fill it for me, and I feel like that's maybe what I was doing.
Now, and I can understand that. I look back at after getting divorced, becoming single again, and dating, and those first couple of girls, because I hadn't dated in 16 years. Those first, few, I was like, oh wow, I got a girlfriend.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as girlfriends anymore now. You know, there's so many different talking stages and all that
Yeah.
shit,
Well, go
then I
ahead.
got with Katia, but I was never fully vested. I was, I committed to her, yes, and that, but I don't think I was ever fully vested, because I still, I didn't give up my drinking, I didn't give up, my lifestyle, and it was just, and I think that's why the eventual breakup happened. I know it's totally different the second time around. We're both fully invested. I don't want that old lifestyle. I don't want to date anymore, because dating sucks. However, one of the women that I was infatuated with, I saw her again, and I told her about, we were like, hey, how you doing, blah, blah. And we started getting into dating. I said, so are you still dating? No. What about, no. Just going through bodies, and she's like, what about you? Yeah, I'm still with that girl that, I got with that, and where I told you I can't date you, don't talk to me no more. Yeah, and what about you? And that's what, it's like you went through all these people, and I was like, oh, she's going to be the one, she's going to be the one. And she wasn't the one. Turns out Katia's the one. But she's been through this. And she was always telling me, well, you're never going to be happy if you do this. Always trying to control what I was doing. I was like, well, no wonder you can't find a man.
Yeah.
Like she can get a man. She just can't keep a man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like most of them can get a man. It's just about keeping them. That's a different story.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I made that fucking post that you told me I should red pill or whatever you said,
Yeah.
but it's just because, like, I just see it so often. It's really, I'm speaking to really one or two people that I know that follow me, and specifically just one, and but that's why, it's just because, like, I see them crying about love and shit all the time, and it's like, you can't get love if you're fucking acting like a fucking cunt all the time, saying, say like, I'd be intimidated too, showing pictures of your body. It's not gonna work, dude.
Right.
Like, nobody's. And then, like, I know this one girl one time, she posted something like, she had posted a picture of her ass on her story or something, and then she posted, the next thing was like, these fuckboys, blah, 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 they can't handle me. And I just remember, like, I was just like, oh my God, what an idiot. Because no man wants to handle a woman. Like, I don't want a little girl. Like, I'm not looking to be somebody's daddy. And I just feel like if a girl feels like that way, she's really got some deep soul searching to do, because she probably has some real issues,
Yeah.
that she needs to figure the fuck out, And I think another problem probably is that some of these women get raised by single dads, and I bet that's fucking up some of these women, And so I tried to explain to them also, is like, we as men think that you just have so many options now. It's like, so if you, and I was telling Shantae this the other day, because she was saying, well, this one guy flirts with me, but, nothing ever happens with it. And I go, well, Shantae, if you like him, then you probably need to be the one that makes more of an effort to show him you like him, because he probably just assumes that you're being fucked by one of us that work here, or that you're being fucked by, like, you know, he thinks you're hot, and
then
he probably thinks you have a lot of options, you know.
And your list of DMs, because you know, every time, you know, in those social groups on Facebook, you hear women just talking about all these bad guys DMing them,
Yeah.
and how they have these requested, you know, message requests that are just hundreds of people long.
Yeah.
And so, what am I gonna? How am I?
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, you're not competing with them. You're competing with me, to try to get, you know, to be with me."
Not
Like,
interested.
no, we're not. We're
Yeah.
competing with the attention of other men.
Yeah. I'm not interested in anything like that.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. And then they wonder why men don't want to date them anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, I try to tell him too that, like, the thing that got me with my girlfriend was that she was really nice to me. She was really nice. And she was really nice even when I told her I cheated on her. Like, she was, I mean, she wasn't so nice that day, you know what I mean? But, like, she fucking loves me enough that she fucking forgave me. And, like, that bitch meant it, because we talk about things like that now and we laugh. Like, you know what I mean? And she's like, and one day I like with tears in my high eyes, 'cause I was real stoned one day, and I just thanked her. I go, you know, if you would have left me at that time, like, I don't know that I would have changed into the person that I am now. I would have probably just continued to the next girl, cheated on her a bunch, continued, and on and on and on and on, instead of, like, who I am now, you know. And, like, and I just was telling her thank you, because you've allowed me to grow as a human. And, like I'll always be with that bitch. Like,
Yeah.
nothing's ever gonna pull me away from her. You know what I mean? Unless she wants to leave, and then I'm just gonna accept that and be like, okay. I wouldn't be a psycho, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, I gave you all this, you know, I'd, like, you know, like, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd just be like, okay, I just want her to be happy, you know. And if it's not with me, okay, fine, as long as you're happy, you know.
Yeah.
Because I care about her that much. And but it's like, I'm legit thankful, because if she'd have left me, I probably would have just continued. I'd have just brought somebody over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just continued my path. See, I was right, you know, like, you know. But it's
But
like, I know that bitch loves me.
It's the support of another
Yeah,
person, a
yeah.
true unconditional. I can't say it in German. No, this is what's fucked up. She's, you know, she can't say unconditionally,
Uh-huh.
but she can say it in German. But the way she's gonna laugh when she reads it, when she watches this. I can't say the German word, but I can say the, you know, unconditionally. But it's that unconditional support that, you know, makes us better, you know, because we don't love ourselves. You don't love yourself unconditionally.
Yeah.
And you accept your faults, but then you also kind of promote your faults, like, you know, fucking a lot of pussy.
Mm-hmm.
It's having that unconditional support from another human. You know, I'm old, and I'm a man, and I live in my own house. And on Friday night, and I was on my way home, I was like, hey, you know, on my way home, I'm gonna stop at that daiquiri shop. That's a Gold Daiquiri shop, and pick me up something to drink. But I'm just gonna have the one, because I know she didn't like whenever I used to get really drunk. So I promised I'm just going to have this one. She goes, I know, it's okay. You do you. If it would have been anybody else who didn't love and, you know, support them, what are you doing drinking? I came over, you know, she's just like, yeah, dude. She knows I'm not going to get wasted. She knows I'm just going to have that, you know, I have control, and she just loves me and doesn't try to control it. And I think that's
And
pretty
even
cool.
if you probably did lose a little control, she probably wouldn't, you know, be too mad.
No, there's being a little drunk, but then there's being, you know, how, you know, I used to get just fucking hammered.
Hammered, yeah. Yeah.
I never beat on her. I never argued with her and yelled at her. I just, you know, I wouldn't talk. I just get really drunk and pass out.
Yeah.
It was like she just drove, you know, she drove over and she, you know, come over and spend the night, and I just get drunk and pass out.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine it's a lot of fun for her.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely reason to complain. Yeah.
Well, it's been a good time.
Yeah, you want to end it?
It's been an hour and 15 minutes already.
Let's wrap this dick up.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys.